Everybody, it seems like I'm behind. I seem like I'm struggling to keep up. There's so much news. So there's a lot happening. China is retrying old drug trafficking cases and sentencing people to death. And this article saying China rejects Canada's plea for clemency for Robert Lloyd Schellenberg, sentenced to death for drug trafficking. So previously he was sentenced to 15 years in a Chinese prison, and he was serving that time. And after Justin Trudeau arrested Meng Wanzhou from Huawei on an extradition request from the United States, well, this person's been sentenced to death, and a bunch of other people, well, another Canadian has been kidnapped and found murdered, and other Canadians have been arrested in China, and I think one has been released, but others are still there. And China is not interested in chatting with Justin Trudeau until Meng Wanzhou is back in China. And I'm sure that Donald Trump has something to say about that. He wants Meng Wanzhou in the United States to face whatever charges he's laying against her, which is that she sold something to Iran against the tariffs and the sanctions against Iran. So you're not allowed to deal with Iran. And if you are dealing with Iran, that's a problem. And apparently that's the problem that Meng Wanzhou is dealing with. So that's pretty crazy. In addition, the Liberal candidate, Karen Wang, resigns after making racist political appeal against Jagmeet Singh. And I'm not going to go into this, but this is a hot button by-election, right? Because first PPC by-election, one of the two. There's two. There's this one in Nanaimo in BC. So interesting. If the PPC win a seat in there, that's going to be a big deal. If the CPC win a seat, they're going to laud it as everybody's done with Liberals. I don't see how the Liberals can win a seat here. The last candidate they ran was making racist political appeals. So I'm not sure how they're going to right that ship. Get another candidate in there fast enough. That should be interesting to watch anyway. And we'll see if the consolidated left votes for Mr. Singh or for somebody else. I mean, he gets national news coverage, so he's got lots of name recognition, right? That's hard to fight. That's hard to combat as just a candidate here. But that said, it is a watched by-election, so there are a lot of things that could happen. Okay, so the meat and the potatoes of this story today, of this video today, is there's been a lot of missteps by the Canadian government with regards to immigration and letting criminals out and allowing criminals to come in and even giving criminals permanent residency cards. Like, oh no, you're a terrorist. Oh, well, here's your permanent residency. And yeah, we're not going to fix that. So the federal Conservatives have started pushing on this. And this is 2 days ago now. Goodness, it was updated yesterday. And the article says, reporting CBC, federal Conservatives ask Parliament to investigate immigration vetting after CBC report. And this is a big deal. This is not a small deal. The opposition Conservatives are asking Parliament to examine Canada's security screening process following 2 CBC investigations that pointed to flaws in the system. Quote, recently there have been a number of concerning incidents that have shown clear gaps in our immigration screening system, Conservative MP Michelle Rempel, the Immigration, Refugees and Citizens critic, said in a statement. Quote, that's why today I'm calling for the Citizenship and Immigration Committee and the Public Safety and National Security Committee to immediately undertake a joint study on how our security screening process can be strengthened. Canadians must have confidence that their safety is being protected. The party said a formal request will be filed at when the House of Commons returns. Today, the federal government was forced to answer questions about how a person who is a, quote, national security concern was granted permanent residency due to a series of failures by the Canadian Border Agency and Immigration Department late 2017. And this was reported yesterday. Man, I lost a day, I guess. January 16, and it says personal national security concern was accidentally granted permanent residency. And you can read that story. I'm not going to go through it now. Link is in the description. Okay, back to this. The series of incidents within CBSA that resulted in that scenario was entirely unacceptable, and the internal steps have been taken to correct the problem and to make sure it cannot happen again, Goodale said Wednesday. A career criminal. Last month, CBC Edmonton investigation revealed that the botched handling of a Somali gang member with an extensive criminal record was released in Canada not once, but twice. According to court documents and immigration filings, Abduli Hissa Farah was fleeing an arrest warrant and deportation in the U.S. when he illegally crossed into Canada at Emerson, Manitoba in late October 2017. The CBSA apparently wanted him held for a few more days until it could retrieve his full criminal record from the U.S., but an Immigration and Refugee Board IRB hearing officer, impressed with Farah's honesty, ordered his release. 6 days later, he breached his conditions and was arrested again. Pressing for answers. The same day the CBSA gained access to Farah's cell phone, they found recent photos and videos of Farah playing with loaded handguns, doing cocaine, concealing cocaine, and flashing wads of cash. There were also photos of what authorities believe was a stolen credit card. The CBSA has declined to explain why the evidence from Farah's cell phone was not immediately provided to the IRB. Canada's Conservatives will continue to press for answers, and we will demand that MPs review our security screening process takes place when Parliament resumes, said Rempel. A spokesperson for Border Security Minister Bill Blair said that all asylum claimants, quote, are thoroughly screened to ensure that there are no risks to Canadians and that our borders remain secure. Well, Mr. Blair, did you just listen, did you read any of this? Did you hear about the Edmonton man who was released twice and he's a member of a Somali gang, the drugs, the weapons, the loaded handgun? Did you hear about that? Because that looks like terrible screening. This looks embarrassing. That looks like people in Somali gangs, because in gangs you have connections. So this guy probably got across the border, called his buddies and said, I told them that I was in a gang and they still let me go. Ha ha ha, these idiots. Because that's what I'd say. Absolute morons. So it's very, very frustrating to read these kind of reports and then have Mr. Goodale come out with garbage like that saying, oh yeah, no, we're totally secure. The border remains secure and the screening processes are great. They're not great because you have to change them. And that's what the news article's about, because of the failures, the multiple failures that your government has overseen during its tenure. It's very, very disturbing. And do you remember this? I reported on this yesterday, and this made me angry. Right-wing supremacist groups, an increasing concern for Canadians, says Mr. Goodale. Wow, isn't that interesting? He sees no problem with letting Somali gang members into Canada, gang members who are flashing wads of cash, playing with loaded handguns, doing cocaine, and showing and recording that on their cell phone. No problem, Canadians. Your borders are secure. There's no problem. Everything is fine. You know what the problem is? Those people who are right-wing supremacists. Yes, right-wing white supremacist groups. That's the problem. And here we see right-wing white supremacist. Oh, sorry, I misspoke. Saudi man facing sexual assault charges in Nova Scotia fled after embassy posted bail. Huh, interesting. A 28-year-old Saudi man charged with sexually assaulting a Cape Breton woman has gone missing, with a leading immigration lawyer saying it may be a case of Middle Eastern kingdom helping a citizen flee while awaiting trial. Nova Scotia's prosecution services Mohammed Zurabi Al-Zoabi had $37,500 of his bail posted by the Saudi Arabian embassy last year in relation to the alleged sexual assault and forcible confinement of the woman between August 1st, 2015 and March 26, 2017. So that's 2 years. That's almost 2 years, everybody. Okay. Al-Zoabi is also facing separate charges for dangerous driving and assault with a car in a December 2015 incident involving a Cape Breton man. The money the kingdom provided for Al-Zoabi's bail later was forfeited when he failed to appear in court last Monday, said prosecutor Shane Russell in an interview from his Sydney, Nova Scotia office. Fled the country some time ago. A court document says the sheriff unsuccessfully tried to locate Al-Zoabi. I know that's wrong, but that's how it's going to be. On December 8th, and quotes his lawyer at the time, David Ianetti, as saying Al-Zoabi fled the country some time ago, even though police had seized his passport. Veteran immigration lawyer Lee Cohen said in an interview that the likeliest way Al-Zoabi would have left the country without a passport is with embassy-issued travel documents, as airlines face heavy fines if they board passengers without the government-issued permission or passport. In order for this guy to leave Canada without a passport, it had to be facilitated by the Saudi government or some government, and there's no reason to believe that any other government would put themselves in this position, said Cohen, who had practiced immigration law for decades in Nova Scotia. Quote, it's intriguing to me as to why the Saudi government would put up bail and then facilitate his departure from Canada before he had an opportunity to complete the criminal process. This is a foreign government interfering with the criminal process. The chilly relationship between Canada and Saudi Arabia. The incident comes amidst continuing tensions between Saudi Arabia and Canada. A Saudi teen has been granted asylum in Canada after fleeing from her allegedly abusive family. Raif Mohammed Al-Kun, now just Raif Mohammed, I believe, said last week that the Saudi embassy in Thailand had tried to force her to return to the kingdom. In August, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman expelled Canada's ambassador and withdrew his own envoy after the Canadian foreign minister called for the release of a women's rights activist who had been arrested in the country. And not a Canadian women's rights activist, a Saudi women's rights activist. Okay. The Saudis also sold Canadian investments and recalled their students from universities in Canada. So this is not right-wing extremism. This is a pretty violent Saudi man who has ducked the legal proceedings and is now probably in Saudi Arabia doing Saudi Arabian things. And Mr. Goodale's just ridiculous statement that it's right-wing white supremacist groups are an increasing concern for Canadians. Sir, the only right-wing or the only groups that are a concern for me is Justin Trudeau and his merry band of insane MPs. You people put to shame the Canadian government. I'm ashamed to have you as our leaders. It is terrible. It is awful. And your unwillingness to engage with the facts of the world that we live in and instead spin your own fictional creations and then get these things printed by purchasing the news media. Sir, I say again, you personally, Ralph Goodale, are a disgrace, as disgraceful as Justin Trudeau. Disgusting, despicable. Please get on the side of Canadians or step down. It is, again, disturbing. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll do another video later on today about Justin Trudeau's reckless spending. Thanks for watching. Check out the People's Party of Canada.ca.